Whoops. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Fortune Bay, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everyone who came here today for the 2018 State of the Band. It's very nice to see everyone to get together and to renew old friendships and forge new ones. Thank you also to the people who are watching the live stream and to those who will be watching it replay at a later date. There was a lot of behind-the-scenes work involved, and I'd like to thank Louise Louise, and the Boys Fort staff for coordinating the event, as well as the Fortune Bay staff for all their hard work in making this event possible. I'd also like to recognize, I'm sorry, I lost my spot here. You know what, I was going to throw a joke in there I didn't think was appropriate, but I'm going to throw it back in there, so sorry. I'd also like to thank Corey Strong. He's supposed to be here today, but he couldn't be here, for pretending to be out of town for the big event, which has given me this platform to announce my candidacy for the Boys Fort Tribal Council. Just kidding, of course. But if you like my Facebook page, I'll have Dave Morrison double your per capita check in 2018. So, all right, that was my only joke. I'm sorry. But anyways, in all seriousness, it is an election year. So I'd just like to remind all the candidates, best of luck as they run for office. But the key thing to remember is to ensure that you all work together for the betterment of the Boys Fort Band as we head down this future path. So thank you very much. Gene, go ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Gene, and Rose, our honor guard, and the drum and singers. You always do an awesome job for us. Thank you. Next, we'd like to acknowledge several special guests with us today. So as I call your name, please stand up. Melanie Benjamin, Chief Executive for the Mille Lacs Band. Thanks, Melanie. Farron Jackson Sr., who is the Tribal Chair for the Leech Lake Band. Jordan Metza, who is a representative with Congressman Rick Nolan's office. See him? Oh, thanks. I don't have my contacts on, so I can't see back there, sorry. Let's see, where'd I go here? Steve Peterson, IRRB Commissioner. Thank you, Steve. Representative Rob Eklund. Thank you, Rob. And Jane Steffen at the Lower Sioux Tribal Council. Sorry about that. Thank you. All right. Senator Klobuchar and Congressman Nolan were unable to attend our event, but they did take time out of their busy schedules to prepare a short video. So our IT folks back there are going to play those 2 videos, and then we'll get back to our program. Thanks.
Hello to everyone at today's State of the Band address. I think you know I'd much rather be there with you in person, but there's a few things going on around here, so I'm happy to join you via video. We were able to get down out of the shutdown. I was part of a group, a bipartisan group that worked on us getting us out of it. Part of that is a long-term budget, which is so important, whether it's healthcare funding, whether it's community health cares, whether it's funding for Indian country. So that's a piece of it. But then the other piece of it is the opportunity to get the DREAM Act passed. And we got a vote promise, which we haven't had for a long time. And we have a number of people now working across the aisle to try to get that done. So that's what I was working on over the past weekend. Of course, that didn't mean I couldn't watch that heartbreaking Vikings game. Unfortunately, I got to watch it with some Philadelphia fans, which wasn't as fun. I didn't like the outcome, but I have to say we are proud of the Vikings for this incredible season, an against all odds season, and we'll never forget that catch. So I'd like to thank your tribal chairwoman, Kathy Shavers, who I had the chance to work with back in October. I'm excited about having her there, Secretary Treasurer Morrison, Representatives Morrison, Benner, and Tutloff, and all of the members and employees. I've always believed that Minnesota's strength comes from the diversity of our people, and so much of our history has been drawn from your culture and your traditions. The Bois Forte Band is such an essential part of life in our state. You own businesses that provide important jobs to the community, like the Wilderness Golf Course, the Fortune Bay Resort Casino, the Bois Forte Wild Rice. You're also dedicated to education, connecting students and workers with what resources are available to help pay for college classes and other training programs. And you've made sure the people of your community have the support they need, even expanding your services this year with a new Duluth urban office that officially opened in August. Thank you. I've always worked in the Senate to make sure your voice is heard, and I'm happy to say we've made progress. Like taking action on opioid abuse, still such a big problem in India country. This was part of my discussion with the chairwoman. This has become an epidemic in our state and everywhere in the nation, especially in Native communities. American Indians, as you know, have some of the highest rate of deaths due to drug overdoses. That's why I led a bill with 3 other senators, Portman, Whitehouse, and Ayotte, called the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act, which is signed into law in 2016. It includes a number of proven strategies to help states and local communities fight addiction. We also passed the Cures Act, thanks to President Obama and Vice President Biden, which includes $1 billion for opioid abuse treatment and prevention. We want to do more in this next budget. That's part of the reason that we gave us the space to get that long-term budget. Also, Senator Manchin and I want to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable and use a fee from the cost of opioids, the prices, to go directly to treatment. We think that's a good idea. We've also fought to improve education. As you know, Indian reservations have a history of high teacher turnover, and part of that's because of the poverty and what's happened from the past. That's why we all fought to add a provision to the Every Student Succeeds Act to improve consistency in the classroom. For schools serving Native American students, my provision expands professional development and strengthens involvement from tribal elders and community members. And this year we'll be working to renew the Higher Education Act. We need to ensure the new version of this important bill serves the needs of students across the country, including in our native lands. Another issue we're working on, investing in broadband. While traveling around the state, I've heard so many stories. I heard the story of the family of Leech Lake tribe that told me that when one of their families got Wi-Fi at their house, all of a sudden they had a bunch of kids hanging out in their yard because that was the one way they could do their homework. We need broadband. So Senator Fisher and I introduced the Rural Spectrum Accessibility Act, which would increase wireless broadband access across Minnesota. I'm happy to say it passed the Senate in August as part of a larger bill. Finally, I'm working to ensure the federal government respects and recognizes your land. Last week, I joined with our new senator, Senator Smith, and Representative Nolan in urging the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs to finalize your acquired lands application. And by the way, I'm glad that Senator Smith took Senator Franken's place on the Indian Affairs Committee, and we do miss Al. It was a really difficult time, and I know how hard he worked for all of you, and we worked together for our tribes. But we've been in touch. I just talked to him last week, and he's been so gracious to our new senator, Senator Smith. So there is no excuse for waiting over 2 years to formally add those lands to the Lake Vermilion Reservation. We need to make this official now. Now, none of this work is easy. Making change never is, and it will take all of us to get it done. But together, we will bring more opportunity to the region, we will hold the government to its commitments to our tribes, and we will make sure this year is the beginning of a brighter future. Enjoy the rest of today's event. Stay warm, and thank you. Miigwech.
Bonjour. Hi, everybody. Congressman Rick Nolan here. I just want to take a moment to greet you as you gather here at Fortune Bay for the 2018 State of the Band celebration and pay homage for all the enormously important contributions of the band to our employment, our economy, our entire region, and well-being here in northern Minnesota. You can take great pride in the State of the Bois Forte Band as we begin this new year. Everyone in this room plays an important role in your success and in your accomplishments. And in particular, of course, we give credit to your great leadership. Chairwoman Kathy Shavers, what a wonderful job she does for you. Secretary Treasurer David Morrison, and of course the district representatives, Brandon Benner, Travis Morrison, Ray Toutliff. What a great team you have. And let me just say, from my perspective, out in Washington, that there is no better, more effective, more knowledgeable representatives of Indian country than this council. It's an honor to work with your leadership, to introduce your board leaders to my colleagues, and to support their work here in Washington on your behalf. With that in mind, let me tell you again and assure you that my commitment to Indian country, to tribal sovereignty, and to the treaty rights negotiated over many centuries is solid, unshakable, and unwavering. In fact, I recently sent a letter to the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs asking for an official secretarial proclamation recognizing once and for all the formal boundaries of the Bois Forte Reservation lands. Moving forward, my staff and I stand ready to provide any kind of help and assistance that might be needed or appropriate. I'm honored to be your friend. I'm honored to be your congressman. Have a wonderful, wonderful celebration today, and thank you. Miigwech. Miigwech, everyone.
Kathy was a guest at our Fortune Bay employee holiday party this past winter, and always does a great job recognizing the work that everyone does here at Fortune Bay, as well as Boys Fort. And she does a great job of boosting team morale, and we really appreciate that, Kathy. So come on up. Sorry.
Gene calls me She Light again, and his name is He Light again. I want to tell you that there was no girls' basketball in Orr High School when I was a student there, and I'm kind of dating myself, so I wish I was a point guard, but I wasn't. With that, I'll start. Bonjour Anin, Kathy Chavers, Indijnakas, Ogama Kwe. I would like to welcome you all to the 2018 State of the Band. First, I would like to thank all of you here for your attendance today and those who are watching on live stream. We, the Tribal Council, are very honored you are all able to join us today, whether it be it here or via the internet. And miigwech to all our tribal members, including our elders and our veterans and our youth, for your continued support and relentless dedication to the band. Thank you to our distinguished partners and guests, who some of them are here with us today. By working together, collaborating and partnering, we will make lasting and positive changes for years to come. So miigwech for coming. I want to give a final thank you to all those who have helped here today to make this a success, to our drum group, our spiritual advisor, Mr. Gene Goodsky, AKA He Light Again, and our Master of Ceremonies, who graciously stepped in for Corey Strong, our Executive Director, Mr. Brian Anderson, and also the RTC and Fortune Bay staff, who helped organize and plan today's event. And lastly, my fellow council members, Dave Morrison Sr., Secretary Treasurer, Brandon Benner, District 1 Representative for Nett Lake, Travis Morrison, District 1 Representative for Nett Lake, and finally, Mr. Ray Tudloff, District 2 Representative for Lake Vermilion. As you're aware, we do have a tribal election coming soon, and this will be Ray Tudloff's last year on the Tribal Council, as he is retiring. Can you please give Ray a hand as we wish him well on his retirement and thank him for his years of service with Boys Fort. Stand up, Ray. Today is a testament that when we work together, great outcomes can occur. We as a council had to make hard decisions this past year and probably many more in the years to come. But we have a great working relationship, and I'm very proud to say that we can agree to disagree and move on. Now, with that said, it is my duty and privilege and honor to address you today on the state of the Boys Fort Nation. As this past has proven, each year brings with it new challenges and struggles. But out of these come opportunities and the promise for a better tomorrow. There were some accomplishments that have been achieved this past year which reflect the commitment of our overall mission to preserve, promote, and enhance our quality of life. I kind of wrote a lengthy speech, so I'm very sorry, but I like to talk, but there's a lot I want to say. We have had a year that has seen change on the tribal government side without any cuts in services to our tribal members. The Tribal Council has had to make some hard decisions, as I said, that needed to be done to ensure our financial responsibility to our tribe. Some of these hard decisions affected our tribal government employees, who on a daily basis continue to provide services and perform their job duties. Although we are not able to recognize all of our staff and programs individually here today, please know that the work that you do, our employees, has not gone unnoticed or unappreciated. We commend all of you on your dedication to our people and our organization. Financial responsibility and accountability to the tribal members is one of our top priorities. This is the first year that the Tribal Council has presented the budgets for the programs and Fortune Bay revenue budget in general session at an RTC meeting that is live streamed. We do live stream all our Tribal Council meetings to ensure that we try to build better communication with our tribal members who live off the reservation. When we passed our budgets, we want to know and ensure our tribal members that we have more openness to the band members, and anytime any band members would like to see any of our budgets or documents, they just have to contact Dave Morrison Sr. or the Secretary Treasurer, and they can view them at the Tribal Council building with the accounting staff, I believe. Last year for us was somewhat tough for us financially. I'm sure you heard the rumors spreading out through Indian Country or the Moccasin Telegraph. This financial bind that we got in did not happen overnight. It took many years for us to get there. And it was very hard, but our biggest economic venture, Fortune Bay Resort Casino, is where we found that our gaming revenue was not where it needed to be. This can be attributed in part to supplementing financially failing businesses over the years, trying to compete with the big boys in the casino industry and other things. We needed to reinvest in Fortune Bay Resort Casino as they were in dire need of capital improvements, such as a new roof. We had water leaking on our server for our machines, and once those go out, we're out of commission. We put in new carpeting, and next year we're looking at new siding, along with many other things that have been overlooked in the past. We are also this close to selling WELY, but that fell through at the last minute, and it is still on the market for sale, so we still own WELY. We renovated the Y store to expand our bait and tackle, and also have the second drive-through bait shop in the country. Ohio has the first. So we're very proud of that, something different. The C-Store in Nett Lake continues to lose money. It is a very big benefit for the people of Nett Lake, but it loses almost $1,000 a day. And we will be meeting with the community in Nett Lake to see what we as a community can do to break even or even try to come ahead. With any convenience store, you need the traffic for it to survive and be successful. This is not happening, and this is what needs to be addressed. As I stated earlier, the hard decisions made on the government side were not easy. We as leaders realize that any decisions we make must also be followed and implemented from the top down. That is why the entire council voted to cut their salaries by 8.5%. We froze all salary increases and adjustments for a year. The cost of living adjustments were ended in place of what is now a Christmas fund which employees contribute to. Traditionally, our COLAs came out in December and were used at Christmas time. And we will be hopefully reevaluating all those changes we made this next coming year to see what can be done next year for our staff and our members. I want to take, you have to excuse me, my contacts are not cooperating. I want to talk a little bit about my visit to Leech Lake State of the Band. I was very honored to be present at that. Farron Jackson, Tribal Chair. At their State of the Band, Mr. Lenny Fineday, who some of you know, is an attorney and Leech Lake Band member. He talked about the culture of dependency that has been instilled in us many years ago when the federal government took over. We as a Anishinaabe people never depended on anybody or anything. We gathered our own food. We hunted, we fished, and we trapped for our meal. We never depended on help in any way. Now, today, we are still dependent on the federal and state government for funding our programs and services. We are sovereign nations and need to end this, oh my goodness, and need to end this cycle of dependency. We can be more diversified and creative in our own economy. And yes, when the past tribal governments have made even our own people dependent on us. One way of breaking this cycle within Bois Forte has been the council's decision, and it was a really tough one for us, to update our policies and procedures. I'm gonna move this up just a little bit because I feel like to update our policies and procedures and enforce them. To prove this point, the tribal council passed a resolution where we as a council cannot interfere with any policy when it comes to collecting payment for rent, water and sewer, home loans, court fines, small business loans, and others. Failure in the past to enforce this has led to a $1 million debt due to the tribal government that has also contributed to where we are today financially. Other priorities that we have is the safety of our communities. The drug epidemic is overtaking our reservation and other reservations, our country, and more importantly, our people. We are currently updating our tribal codes through funding we receive from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and we are also getting necessary equipment to help instill safety on the reservation. We are also working with our tribal partners and neighbors with sharing information about drug dealers on the reservations. We know that our casinos are one of the biggest hubs for our drug dealers, and so we will be working together to combat this issue. You have to excuse me. We are also working with updated agreements with neighboring law enforcement agencies. We've been contacted by the Border Patrol, the State Patrol, and we also have Brighting Township, who we have an agreement with, along with St. Louis County. One thing we do have a problem with is a jail facility. Our prisoners are transported to Sherburne County, which is a 4-hour drive one way for our BIA officers. And this in turn leaves the reservation in a predicament with regards to safety. As we told the Bureau, there is no dollar amount that you can put on the safety of the reservation. So right now, last December, not this past December, but this December before, the Tribal Council met with St. Louis County and the Bureau of Indian Affairs to help address this issue with regards to our prisoners in jails. St. Louis County is willing to house our prisoners, so we don't have to do that 4-hour drive to Sherburne County. And we are this close again now to an agreement with St. Louis County, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and getting that accomplished. I just met with Sheriff Littman from St. Louis County 2 weeks ago, and we are very close to getting that accomplished. Now it's in the hands of St. Louis County and the Bureau of Indian Affairs, but Bois Forte is very actively involved in that. The other things is that Governor Dayton did have an opioid summit that has been attended by all the tribes to address the opioid issue and drug issue within the Indian country. And he had the state agencies there, and the tribe said we need to do our own opioid summit, which we did have. And we will be having more opioid summits for the tribes, and we had over 300 people attend our first summit. And what we're coming up with now is an action plan and where we need to go with it and what we need to do. But also the tribes got together and decided that we should not fight for funding, each of us individually, for pennies that come down. Really, it's pennies that come down to combat this issue. We need to come together as one to work towards fighting the opioid crisis. So we are going to try, and we are going to try, form a general council as there have been in the past culturally, where all the tribes, Dakota and Ojibwe, come together and maybe apply as one for one pool of money and get better resources out of it than go for pennies for each of us. This epidemic is affecting our families and our children, and Minnesota, for most of you that maybe don't know, has the highest rate of children in out-of-home placement. Our grandparents are raising their grandchildren, and we are all affected by this, and it's in our families, and we've seen it. And we need to take our communities back, and if we don't, these numbers will only rise, overdoses will rise, and even our deaths will rise. We'll be losing our people more and more. We need to stop it right now. Another area that we want to work on, which I feel that we really didn't put much effort into this past year, and this is just my own personal opinion, is our language and culture. I met with an elder over the summer, and I expressed that to her, and I asked her, what can we do? And she said, we need to put our efforts more into our language and culture. I believe we only have, and somebody can correct me, 3 fluent speakers left at Boys Fort. It is important that we put forth more effort to preserve and teach our language and culture. Our radio station, KBFT, has been doing a phenomenal job with regards to our language and culture and the arts, bringing Native artists to Boys Fort, to Nett Lake, and giving our community an opportunity to see this. It's been a wonder. You guys are doing a wonderful job. I want to let you know that. But we need to do a lot more. We only have 3 fluent speakers left, and I know that modern technology is helping us because we have the Boys Fort language app that is available, and there are others out there, like I've heard Anton Troyer has one. And we also have a group of young people and elders that are getting together on a volunteer basis now in Nett Lake to do something about our language. And that's the way it should be. We all need to come together to do something. And we need to also get our elders involved and get their teachings involved. In the 1980s, the tribal government established the Elders Committee. And this past year, that committee, with no disrespect to our elders, was ended. We wanted our elders to develop their own committee without government involvement, and this is the way it should be. They now have that opportunity. The Elders Committee that was passed in the 80s had government involvement. That's not the way we are as a people, and it never should be that way. So we need to make sure that our elders can do what they need to do to teach us. The next area is our youth. The next 7 generations, we must prepare, educate, and train. Just recently, Governor Dayton established the Minnesota Tribal Youth Gathering Steering Committee. We have 2 young women, Sasha Strong from Nett Lake and Raina Davila Day from our urban area, who are sitting on this committee. Each tribe has representatives on this committee, and hopefully this will instill some initiatives that come out of the governor's office for our youth. We also have to train our youth. We have our workforce is aging, and we don't have young people coming up. And one thing we're going to be looking for is internships in different areas, whether it be DNR, accounting, healthcare. These areas we need our young people to become interested in. So this next year, we're hoping to instill some type of internship program where we can get our people involved and working with the agencies. The agencies are really anxious to do this. And so this is a good area for our young people to have the experience and get that knowledge and find out if that's really what they want to do or really where they want to go. Healthcare. We've done wonders in healthcare, and I really want to put a big thank you out to Mr. Randy Long, our IT director. He worked hard with the Essentia Health, our local healthcare provider, in developing and getting Epic, an electronic health record, into our clinic system. With that, we have now been connected to all the Essentia Health facilities throughout northern Minnesota. And what that means is any patient that sees a provider in our clinics, if you're referred to a specialist or are seeing a provider in the ER in St. Mary's or wherever that may be in Duluth, our records will be in there, so they'll know who you are and what our providers have been dealing with you. So you don't have to remember, oh, I take this med, oh, I saw the doctor for this or whatever. It's all going to be in there. It's basically great for continuity of care and to instill that our people are being well cared for. And Randy, thank you very much for your work and dedication to that project. It's a big undertaking. We implemented it December 1st, and we're very, very proud of Randy. Thank you. Also within our healthcare system, we opened a pharmacy in Vermilion to provide better services to our tribal members. Employees also for the band, whether it be Fortune Bay, the Y Store, or whoever, can also utilize these services so they don't have to leave work and travel to, say, Virginia or Duluth. They can access our facilities now. And as you heard, we also opened an urban office in Duluth. Wendy Drift is our Duluth Urban Office Coordinator, and it is located at the Damiano Center in Duluth. But I want to take this moment to thank Mr. Ron Bourget, AKA Inky Bourget, for his persistence and dedication to getting this office open. Without that, who knows where it would have been. But every day, every year, Ron was there, and he said, "What are you guys doing about the urban office in Duluth?" We have over 200 band members in Duluth, and I want to thank you, Ron. At our grand opening, it was also very nice to see Mayor Emily Larson and the Chief of Police there. It shows the great collaborations and partnerships we can build. And Ron, I believe, also sits on some of the committees in the Duluth area. So we've got a great working relationship there, along with other organizations in our urban metro area urban office, with Jackie Wilson and all her volunteers that come in and help her. And I wish Jackie well. I know she's had some health issues, and I really wish her well in her recovery. Our housing program was awarded a $6 million Tax Credit 3 program, and we're building more units in Nett Lake and Vermilion. Our Tarot program has been very involved with this, and we have an Indian-owned band member contractor with over 90% of band members employed at that project. We have been instilling into our tribal council employees the importance of applying for grants. And out of our $42 million RTC overall yearly budget, $15 million was written in grants. And I want to commend our staff on doing that. We are really going for the grant applications, and we're getting funded for them. The next step with that, we are applying for 501(c) status with a lot of our businesses, the Heritage Center, the radio station, our youth clubs, and this will enable us to get even more funding with that recognized status. We also have our Tarot program, which receives $600,000 from MnDOT for over a 3-year period to incorporate more training and job skills for our people so they can work in the construction industry. We've had CDL training, heavy equipment training, and masonry training. And now we're thinking of expanding to possibly electrical, plumbing, carpentry, and other skills that can be used on the outside. We want our band members to be successful and to be able to join unions and use these skills as a career so that they may be able to survive and be successful even off the reservation. These will be forthcoming in the next few months, and we'll be trying to get out information for any band members that may be interested in these areas. We also had, and I don't think she's here, I haven't seen her, but we also had an employee who also retired this year, and I wanted to give special recognition to her, and that was Edith Villebren. Edith Villebren worked for the tribe for 45 years, and she finally retired just this past December. Edith worked in our accounting office and was the director of administration. And we are very honored to have Edith work for us for that many years and has really been a role model for all of us to say, we can still work when we're older. Edith has battled many health conditions, and she was always there for us. So I wanted to give a big miigwech out to and thank you to Edith, and I wish her well in her retirement. Apparently, she's really enjoying it. As you know, last year the tribe ran out of wild rice. That really rarely happens, but Mother Nature has been not too kind to us with our wild rice crop. This year we had the ability to have wild rice, and boy, did we need it. I heard a lot of people went out just to get their eating rice, because a lot of people like to save their rice and use it over the year or give it to family and friends, and even they were out of rice, and that usually never happens. But also what became an issue in the state of Minnesota is a wild rice sulfate issue. And I was contacted by Representative Rob Eklund and Jason Metza, another representative, about how can we help you, or what is the band's feelings on the wild rice sulfate issue with regards to the mining industry. And so what had happened is, it just so happened we had a state tribal collaborative training here, and all the tribal leaders were here when Rob had contacted me about that issue. So we took it a step farther, and we contacted the tribal leaders here, and we had a meeting with Representatives Eklund and Metza, with all the tribal leaders and their DNR departments. And I believe this is the first time ever that something like that has happened, where the tribal leaders have had the opportunity to sit down with these representatives and tell them that what we've talked to in tribal consultation with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency was not getting to our representatives. And that was very important. As you all know, the wild rice sulfate issue did not pass. There needs to be more scientific data. And who better to talk to than our tribal nations? We've been dealing with wild rice for years, many, many, many years. We've collected data, and we know what we're doing. It's a staple of our economy and our meals. And so thank you, Representative Eklund, for that opportunity, because we really want to build those relationships with our legislative friends. Thank you. And as you know, I do want to say a thank you to Al Franken. He has been our friend in Washington, D.C., but also I'm very pleased that former Lieutenant Governor Tina Smith is now Senator Tina Smith. And I believe that we will have great opportunities with her as she replaces Senator Franken in Washington, D.C. We had the opportunity, some of us, Brandon and Travis, went out to Washington, D.C. and discussed the opioid issue. It always boils down to money, and there's never enough for tribes, it seems like. So this is an ongoing battle for us, and we will continue to lobby our efforts with regards to opioid and other issues that affect the band. Last but not least, I want to say something about our money that we receive from Fortune Bay. And since 2005, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there has been $58 million distributed to the Tribal Council. Part of the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act is to have our gaming revenues assist tribal governments with their operations, or as need be, I guess. And we were trying to have that report ready for everybody here today, but we had some issues in our accounting staff with health issues that affected some of them being able to be at work. And so we were not able to get that report to you today. And we will be, though, however, getting that out to you as soon as it is completed, because it goes back many, many years and going through audits. And we feel that it's our duty to let you know where that money has been spent and where it has been distributed. I can tell you that some of the things that it's used for is our funeral fund, our emergency medical fund, and to fund other areas where grants and contracts cannot fund that. So with that, I know everybody's getting hungry. I can hear the stomachs rumbling. We look forward to this next year. And as I end today, I have always been told by my parents to treat others as you wish to be treated. Be respectful, listen, and be patient. But most of all, be honest and truthful. And you can go a long way by being honest and truthful. And that is the way it should be. Miigwech. My apologies. We have a special presentation here today. But before I say that, I just got notice that just today, we were notified that our Northern Eagle Federal Credit Union has been officially awarded a grant in the amount of $50,000 from the Propel Nonprofit Infrastructure Program. This money will be used to begin the process of offering additional services, including checking accounts, debit cards, and online banking services. We are excited to see the credit union continue to grow and prosper. So that is what we just received today. With that, we also have a special presentation. This year, at the Minnesota Indian Education Association annual event, I'm very honored to say that we had two Boys Fort band members that were honored at this event. And it was in conflict with with the council schedule, so we were unable to attend. But I've asked them to come here as our special guests today. And I'd like to start out with Angie Harper. Angie Harper is a teacher, and she was awarded Teacher of the Year for the 2017-2018 school year, K through 12. And she was nominated by Maggie Lorenz, and I'll read what Maggie put in her nomination. Angie Harper has worked over 20 years with the St. Paul Public Schools at Harding High. Angie was part of the creation of the American Indian Studies program for the district. Through her leadership and steadfast support and advocacy, it is one of the longest-standing AIS secondary programs in the nation. Ms. Harper introduces American Indian youth to some of our literary masters, such as Alexi, Erdic, Mamadeh, and Deloria, giving our kids a strong sense of self and cultural pride. Angie crosses tribal lines and was an instrumental leader in founding the first ever Dakota Language Bowl in Minnesota. Through her experience, leadership, and guidance, this year Harding High School will host its 4th annual Dakota Language Bowl, which has become an international event as many Dakota come down from Canada to participate. Ms. Harper's classroom has been a safe space for American Indian youth since before safe space became a catchphrase. Her gentle and encouraging demeanor has lifted the youth of AIS for many years. For all of her outstanding work, it says, we are proud to nominate Ms. Angie Harper for the 2017-2018 K-12 Teacher of the Year. Angie couldn't be with us today. She has finals. But we have Maggie Harper, her sister, who is here today to accept this gift on our behalf for being awarded Teacher of the Year. Maddie? Is she here? Oh, no, there's her dad, Roger Harper. Maddie was here, but her baby said she had to leave. And that was Colin Harper, excuse me. Next, we have Shannon Gizik, who was Parent of the Year. And Shannon was the Title VII Parent Committee Chair for the 2016-2017 school year. She was able to accomplish many things during her time as the chair, including securing ongoing funding for our new Check and Connect program. The federally funded grant program was nearing its 4th and last year of funding. Seeing the importance of having the program in the district, filling an unmet need, Shannon led the charge to make sure that there was district funding allotted to see this vital programming continue. Shannon has always been a very involved and vocal parent in the district and keeps our kids at the forefront in the eyes of district administrators as well as school staff and faculty. Parent involvement is critical in student success. We all know that. And the success of our American Indian programming. Shannon has been truly an invaluable member of our St. Paul Public Schools Indian education community. With that, Shannon Gijek, please come up. Shannon comes up smiling. I did not know you were going to do that. But we're very proud of our young ladies for being Teacher of the Year and Parent of the Year. And we hope that this will also instill into many that by hard work and dedication, we can do it, and they can do it. Miigwech.
Thank you again, Kathy. That was a great speech there. Appreciate that. Jean and Rose will now take over the program. They will do the honor song, and then I'll come back up after they're done. Thank you again. Awesome job. All right, we just have a quick couple drawings here from our informational booths, from the diabetic one, I believe. Is that true, Louise? Should we pick that? Should we pick that one? Okay. Oh, wow.